Hey guys, real quick, I want to go over one of the most disgusting things that Chuck Schumer has ever said out loud on the floor of the Senate, and it was about election integrity laws. He went way overboard by claiming that the SAVE Act, which is an election integrity law, is akin to Jim Crow laws. And you'll see in the video that I'm going to play for you that there was a subtle nudge to make you believe that his party had nothing to do with Jim Crow. From Schumer and his ilk, you are being told that election integrity laws are racist. Today, we're going to hear a top-ranking Democrat accuse election integrity laws of being Jim Crow. That alone should make you pause. In this video, I'm going to point out once and for all how the Democratic Party was solely responsible for the creation and the maintenance of Jim Crow laws, and how the Republicans fought against them for years, about 100 years. This is about Senator Chuck Schumer, the SAVE Act, and a claim so historically backwards, it collapses the moment you look at the facts. And I'm going to bring the receipts, because this comparison isn't just wrong, it's a deliberate lie. And once documented history enters the conversation, the narrative falls apart. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back to RPW Media, where unlike the Democrats, we don't think minorities are too stupid to get an ID to vote. All right, now tomorrow night, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern, we do live streams where we talk about the top stories of the week, and we have a good time doing it. You should check us out. All right, so Senator Chuck Schumer took to social media and declared that the SAVE Act, a bill focused on election integrity, amounts to Jim Crow laws. That accusation isn't just reckless, guys. It's historically wrong. It's backwards. But here's the part that they don't want you slowing down to consider. All right, so here is Schumer trashing the SAVE Act with a bunch of lies. Does he not think people are going to be able to read the thing online? Give it a watch.
They don't understand the sacredness of elections and
They don't understand the sacredness of elections. Guys, the whole reason the SAVE Act was created was because you guys stole an election. Of course they understand the sacredness of elections. They're trying to fix it by blocking you from cheating while making it very easy for everyone to vote. That's the simple truth.
keeping them fair. The kind of legislation, the kind of executive orders, which are so jaundiced, so slanted on the side of one party, are the antithesis of democracy.
The antithesis of democracy. What would you know about that, Chuck? Oh, yeah. Your party put up a presidential candidate where you did not ask for a single vote from the party faithful.
On the one side, Donald Trump recently issued an executive order that will coerce states to prevent millions of Americans from voting.
That's a lie.
On the other, Republicans in Congress are pushing the SAVE Act, one of the most destructive, dangerous voter suppression bills in recent memory.
Voter suppression. Yes, they're trying to suppress illegals from voting and people who shouldn't be allowed to vote from voting. That's what they're suppressing.
It is very reminiscent of Jim Crow. That's what Republicans want to do. They want to not only restore Jim Crow in the South, they want to have Jim Crow spread from one end of this country to the other.
Now, you will not hear him mention once that his party, the Democratic Party, was solely responsible for creating and enforcing Jim Crow laws in Democratic-run states.
Will not happen. It will not happen.
Of course it won't happen, because the Republicans are in charge.
Let me be clear. I will not let this noxious bill, the SAVE Act, become law. Senate Democrat, every single one of us is united against it. They need 60 votes. The SAVE Act is dead on arrival.
So, guys, what he's telling you is that the Democrats don't want a law that will make it easier for everyone to vote and harder to cheat. He said that they need 60 votes. Now, what does that mean? It means that they are going to the extreme measure of filibustering a bill that will make it easier to vote and harder to cheat. Now, guys, the SAVE Act focuses on verifying eligibility to vote, securing ballots, and restoring public confidence in elections. Who would be against that? Well, people who like to steal elections, that's who. It does not segregate any voters. It does not bar anyone from voting based on race. That's exactly what the Democrats did. It does not impose literacy tests, poll taxes, or racial exclusions, which is the history of the Democratic Party. You'll never hear him admit that. Look, to label election integrity as Jim Crow is to empty the term of its meaning and replace history with hysteria. All right, guys, so here's what the SAVE Act proposes to do. Requires individuals to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship. So a legal document or form of ID, a passport, a birth certificate, a driver's license, real ID, whatever. You go in, you show your ID, they go sign here, you go over and vote. Oh, the horrors. They're segregating people. See, the problem is that for years, ever since election integrity laws came out, voter ID laws, the Democrats came out and they didn't say the words, but they said that Black Americans are too stupid to know how to get an ID. Because they're arguing always that, well, Black people can't get an ID. What are you talking about? I've seen interviews where guys go out on the street and ask Black Americans, hey, do you know how to get an ID? And one woman was like, I have 3 IDs. What are you talking about? And all of them were like, what do you mean? Of course I have an ID. I have a driver's license. Others were like, well, I got a carry permit. I got a driver's license. I have an ID to get into my job. What are you talking about? And the Democrats are still playing that game. Number 2, it prohibits states from accepting or processing voter registration applications for federal elections unless the applicant presents this documentary proof at the time of application. So in other words, you can't just vote with ID. You have to be able to show ID to register to vote. All right. It mandates that proof generally be provided in person to an election official. Now we're going to hear, what about people that can't make it down there? I'm sure they will have some side limiting things, which the Democrats will abuse, of course, and they'll have like 20 million people register that way, right? Okay. It mandates that states establish an alternative process for applicants to submit other evidence of citizenship if standard documents aren't available. Well, there you go. Now, that's one that we can tell you right now, knowing how the Democrats are, that they will create loophole after loophole after loophole for that one. I mean, what will their alternative process be? This one's breathing. I mean, that's what it's going to be. You know it. Applies to new registrations and updates, address, name changes, party affiliation, whatever, and various methods, DMV, mail, agencies, potentially disrupting voter registration drives and automatic same-day registration processes. You see, the Democrats are the ones that come up with all these gourmet ways of voting. It used to be election day. Now it's election month. Actually, in some states, it's election season. It directs states to enhance voter list maintenance programs to identify and remove non-citizens from rolls using databases. This is something that's going to be huge in blue states because they do have illegals that are voting. It imposes criminal penalties on election officials who register voters without the required proof, even unintentionally, and allows private citizens to sue for noncompliance. Now, the reason why they say even unintentionally, because Democrats lie. Oh, I didn't know he was an illegal. He doesn't speak English, but that doesn't mean anything. Now, here's another one with Chuck Schumer saying on video that Republicans want to revert to Jim Crow. How would Republicans revert since they were never involved in Jim Crow? Give it a watch.
Not going to let them revert to Jim Crow. And if you don't think they want to revert to Jim Crow, just look what they did in the SAVE Act, which went back to took Jim Crow for the whole nation. By so making it hard, they said you need ID, and they made it so hard to show ID that probably half the people in America.
Now, you guys just heard me read off the requirements. So if you're an American and you want to vote and you don't have any one of those pieces of documentation, you got to get one. How hard is it to get one? If you want to vote, you got to get an ID. It's not blocking anybody from voting. Anyone's allowed to vote. You got to get an ID. And a lot of states are going to create voter ID cards that are free, but they'll still have something to complain about.
Couldn't vote. We wouldn't let it pass.
He's claiming that with the SAVE Act, that Republicans want to revert back to Jim Crow. Never mind the fact that the Republicans spent 100 years fighting the Democrats on Jim Crow. Guys, this is no different from their lie about the Southern strategy. Republicans have never changed their position on civil rights. That's a fact. Now, here is Chuck Schumer last year, who actually said publicly, if you can believe it, the real reason why they're against things like the SAVE Act. They want amnesty. Give it a watch.
short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
So, in other words, he's saying that because our population is dwindling, because libnuts aren't having kids, because of that whole Malthusian thing, right? So he's saying the only way that we could continue as a society is just, he said 11 million, just about 40 million in here. Come on, there were up to 20 million, some say 25, in the 4 years of warm diarrhea brains Joe Biden alone. Okay, they started saying 11 million back in the early 90s, and so they're still saying it's 11 million. So they want you to believe, in essence, that every time an illegal comes into the country, one of them leaves, because that's the only way you stay at the same number for over a dozen years. All right, guys, this is the test. If you love America, then you have to throw out any politician who says to your face that they want to make upwards of 40 million illegal aliens citizens overnight, just so that they can get their vote. Because you know damn right well that if it was overwhelmingly known that illegal aliens voted Republican, the Democrats would be catapulting them back over the Rio Grande 24/7. Now, here's the truth about Jim Crow. Jim Crow was not some vague cultural phenomenon. It was law. And those laws were written, passed, enforced, and defended by Democrats from the 1890s through the 1960s. Southern state legislatures were overwhelmingly Democratic. Governors were Democratic. Courts were Democratic. Sheriffs and election officials were Democratic. This was not accidental. It was deliberate governance. When Democrats regained control of southern states after Reconstruction, they moved quickly to undo black political participation. Literacy tests were designed to fail black voters. Poll taxes were priced against poor citizens so that they couldn't vote. The grandfather clauses exempted white voters. White primaries excluded black Americans entirely. That system had a name, Jim Crow, and Republicans opposed it year after year. Republicans supported Reconstruction. Republicans passed the Civil Rights Acts of the 1860s. Republicans pushed federal enforcement when Southern Democrats resisted. Republicans repeatedly introduced anti-lynching legislation only to see it blocked by Democratic filibusters. That is not opinion, guys. That is on the congressional record. When civil rights laws finally passed, it happened because Republicans and a minority of Democrats overcame massive Democratic resistance from the South. That resistance was organized, sustained, and proudly justified in the language of segregation. So when Senator Schumer calls the SAVE Act Jim Crow, he is not defending civil rights. He is cheapening them. Jim Crow was about denying lawful citizens, black Americans, the vote based on their race. Election integrity laws are about ensuring lawful votes are counted and unlawful ones are not. The comparison collapses the moment facts enter the room. And that is exactly why the accusation is made so casually. Here's the real irony. The same party that once used election laws to exclude citizens now accuses others of doing the same, even when the policies have nothing in common. There's nothing in common with Jim Crow and the SAVE Act. Jim Crow was real. It was brutal. It was democratic. Pretending otherwise does not honor history. It rewrites it. Now, if you care about civil rights, you should care about the truth. And the upside is this. The more history gets dragged into the conversation, the harder it becomes to lie about it. All right, so tell me what you think about this in the comments below. I love hearing from you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Too many secrets, too many closed doors. We're sick to cover-ups. We're sick of the cover-ups. Want the truth and nothing more. The veil's been lifted, the jig is up. No more drinking the Kool-Aid.